Portugal. There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know.
Hola, bon dia, alegria, Munson here, with a slightly late Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast, and of course, the Portugal Club, where we will go for the Portuguese citizenship test. Question number 67, I believe, today. Things are all at, sixes and sevens. If you're older than, I don't know, about 25 or 20 possibly, sixes and sevens means a bit of a mess. 6 7 I think means something quite good, doesn't it, with the skibbity riz and all that sort of stuff for the youngsters. But anyway, suffice to say, still a little bit discombobulated. I don't want to go on about it. It's boring, isn't it, when people complain their ailments. Sorry, that's something else in the background there that I want to download and share with you. That was a great interview yesterday, even if I say so myself, and got a little bit ahead of myself. In my mind, it was being published yesterday at 3 o'clock. Actually, the resident podcast, the big interview with the BBC veteran legend, Alistair Leithhead, will be published today. It will be available from 3 today. On podcast platforms and YouTube. So I got a little bit of a clip from it because I really liked his state of the nation, his prognosis for Portugal. So I'll play you a little bit of a clip. We had a lovely half-hour chat, and he has a lovely place in the Alentejo. Really great to speak to. I was a little bit daunted because he is such a top broadcaster. He's spoken about everything and everyone and from many locations around the world, and he was stood like a proper BBC pro in his Alentejo background whilst I was here, imagining in my head. And now back to the studio with Carl. Thank you, Alistair. From Afghanistan, from LA, from Southeast Asia. Amazing. His CV is quite incredible. Anyway, play you a little bit of a clip of that. Kate, good morning to you, and Jackie. Where is everybody this morning? I think maybe a little bit cold and damp, unable to lift your chilly fingers. If I can get my aching body to this chair to do this show, come on, the least you can give me is perhaps a like for the show and maybe a comment. Comments available on the screen now. I've enabled show comments on stage. Type whatever you like on the screen and you'll see it right there. Well done. You've just done that, OLP. Bon dia, Carl and Gumpers. There you go. If you look in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see it goes up there automatically as well. I'm going to do wide. Go wide. Look at that. Wide. I can do big and wide as well. Should we do that? Let's go big and wide today so you can see your comments on the screen. We will post up the Portuguese citizenship test question 67 in real time. Although, actually, I'll tell you what, if I play my clip with Alistair now, that'll give me a little bit of time to do that and appear. I say only appear just that little bit more professional. So here we go. Okay, I'm going to have to do that a different way. There he is talking about appearing professional. Okay, this is the way to do it. This is what Alistair had to say.
A lot of the turbulence, particularly in the US, has led a lot of people to look for security and look for peace and quiet. It's kind of what we've got here, and that's why so many people, I think, are interested in coming here. There is so much quality of life here with security. I love places like Cape Town, beautiful, beautiful places, similar weather, similar coastline, similar wine, same central coast of California, very similar to this kind of area here. But this has the security, and I think that's what's attracting so many people from all over the world who just want to step away a bit from the madness that's going on, the war in Europe. Look, it's challenging times for all of us, particularly the war that I see now close up, the disinformation war, which is the root of so much of it. But I think that, the whole world is facing these challenges. Every generation goes through these periods of existential crisis, essentially. Sure. Let's see where things go. Portugal's well placed. Portugal's economy is going well. People are coming here. Investment is coming into the country, which is a good thing. Yes, of course, there are always conflicts when a lot of people come in, and you still got that big mismatch when it comes to salaries locally. That needs to change. The government in Portugal needs to step up. The arguments about about housing, you could say that there's a problem here with so many rich people coming in and buying houses in Lisbon. And you can say, well, Why isn't the government using the taxes, using the money that's being invested to invest it in social housing? It's an easy excuse to blame people in that way. It's great that Portugal has this this openness to people like myself, like many others, coming in here, working here, living here, trying to bring something to the community. We're here to, to basically allow ourselves to live here, work here, retire here, and provide money, to the country while we're here. That's
And
what
to
it's
give
all
back.
about.
Absolutely. No, I get a great sense of that. So perhaps a good note to end on here, the sun setting on your now world famous retreat.
Thank you for that.
that you had here. And thanks so much, Alistair. Catch up with Alistair's column in the Portugal Resident, 2 podcast and on Substack. I suspect if people look for Alistair Leithhead, they'll find you on Substack. And I'd love to talk to you again next year if we may, and catch up with you and see what's been going on.
Fantastic. Hopefully there'll be lots to report. We'll have a much better idea of what we're doing, and we'll have met lots of more interesting people and not one single bad guest. Fingers crossed.
Wonderful. Good luck with that, with the ploughing of the field in readiness for the vineyard there. Thanks a lot, Alistair. Take care. Bye for now. Bon dia. Ciao, ciao. There you go, Alistair Leithhead. Now, you may recognise the voice, the face. You'll have seen him on British TV if you ever watched the BBC in the last 20 years, I think. Pete, possibly, Chris as well. Alistair Leithhead, everybody who I interviewed yesterday, the big Portugal Resident interview available at 3:00 today on YouTube and on your usual podcasting platform, apart from iTunes. I've got a little bit more work to do on iTunes, but it's always the way with Apple, isn't it? Oh, talking of tech, I think we managed to switch over successfully from Mayo to Vodafone yesterday. Proof will be in the pudding and the change of installation, of course. But since we became a business, we now have the internet and the infrastructure in the business name. Because, of course, Good Morning Portugal, Feel Good Astrology, we rely on the internet, and we're making that shift from Mayo to Vodafone. And I did the whole thing in Portuguese yesterday with lovely Raquel in the new shop in Caldas da Rainha. So parabéns on the new shop there, Loja Novo in Caldas da Rainha. Lovely shop. It smelt new as I walked in, and I was delighted to be able to. It was a street I'd walked along 8 years ago and just wide-eyed and new in Portugal. And who knew 8 years later having a completely Portuguese conversation with Raquel, changing over my internet connection. Fantastic. Right. Any celebrations for you with your cultural and linguistic connections here in Portugal? Do let me know. We should celebrate those, the baby steps that we necessarily take to engage and integrate with the culture here. So back at 7:50, Jackie was in with the Bondia Gumpers and Kate. Lovely to see more of you, Kate, here. Thank you for becoming part of this community. It wasn't that difficult, was it? Bondia, Alex, some people think there's a terrible sort of, hazing or ritual that you have to go through to become a Gumper. I mean, the worst thing that happens, actually, is you get called a Gumper, which isn't the most, attractive name, of course, is it? And people think, what on earth is that? A Gumper, yeesh. Forrest Gump, who knows? Actually, and when you look up Gumpers on the Urban Dictionary, I don't think it's especially flattering either. But anyway, here we are, the Gumpers, and thank you, Kate, for being among our number, and also, yes, making your presence felt over at the Portugal Club as well. I see you over there. Thank you very much indeed. So yeah, in at 7:51, and what's this then, Kate, as well? A comment from you here. Let me just go back. It's funny, isn't it? They introduce more and more technology over on the StreamYard, and then the things that you like become more difficult. So actually clicking on the comments themselves has become a little bit more difficult because there's so many other functions now. Anyway, we are looking forward to the interview this morning. We have gone completely solar and battery. It's been a game changer. Yeah, that's a good shout. Thanks, Kate. We have Duncan Gardner. Colin is so pivotal to today's show. Colin introduced us to Joe Santos, of course, of Vencer Entusiasmo. And this morning, his friend and neighbour Duncan Gardner joins us, who's actually written a guide to installing solar, the dark art, the occult business of installing solar and alternative energy systems in your house. Duncan sent me a guide. He wants to demystify things. He's got quite a nice array himself. I'm sure he won't mind me saying that. And people knock on his door and say, do you mind me asking you how you went about having this installation done? And do you, is it good? So much so that I think he got fed up. Well, no, maybe not fed up, but he was getting a lot of knocks on his door, and he's written a guide, community guide to planning a home energy system in central Portugal, 23 pages. And don't worry, we'll get that bad boy up on the during the show I will make sure it's available at the Portugal Club as well. I will check first and get his permission on that. But yeah, a neat little PDF there, community guide to planning a home solar energy system in central Portugal. And as I think I said yesterday, I will be moving the studio to my attic over the Christmas break. I'm going to put a solar panel on the roof, and I think what we'll try and do is do the show off grid. That'll be a nice project for the new year, won't it? And I think energy independence, self-sufficiency is going to become more of an issue. We'll remember 2025, of course, as the great apagão. The little bit of a saber rattle from the institutions that once upon a time made sure everything was okay, and we're just not so sure anymore. A little bit more independence and resilience is a good thing. We'll be chatting to Duncan about that. And Joe Santos will be returning for a special Positive Echo recording this morning after this one. Normally we do the Positive Echo on a Wednesday evening at 6, and we've had to reschedule our diaries. Joe Santos is our in-depth guest on the Positive Echo with Gary Coulton. Gary Coulton joined me at around 8:40 this morning to celebrate his award. Gary got an award recently for being an old giffer, basically, I think, and we'll find out more about that. It's an award, basically. You can still be useful when you're old, and some of us need to hear that, right? So we'll be talking to Gary Coulton, my buddy on the Positive Echo. If not for him, we wouldn't be doing the Positive Echo podcast. And thank you to Marco here at the Storytellers who introduced us to each other. So me, Joe Santos, and Gary Coulton will be doing a show at 9:05 or thereabouts. As soon as this one's finished, we'll be hopping over to the Positive Echo studio and talking to Joe at length and in depth over there, and Duncan Gardner at around 8:20 this morning. If I've sent all the messages out and haven't got myself in too much of a pickle and a confusion, what with all these painkillers and the constant distraction of lower back pain at the moment. But like I said, I'm not going to go on about it. Hola, bon dia from Chris, Capricorn 12. Is there a chronicle this morning, Chris? Your life on His Majesty's United Kingdom's public transport. Bon dia, Kate. Where's Chris and his London antics this morning? I do enjoy his stories. Me too. That's why we have the Capricorn Chris Chronicles in the morning. Ashbil to Carl and anyone else recovering from something. You were always recovering from something or other, even if it's just our personal evolution, right? OLP, good to see you. Kate, been off-grid many years on a boat. I think we should have a GMP off-grid club, shouldn't we? And I was reminded, this program was always meant to be like a radio show and podcast for people going off grid and being a little bit more independent. That's what me and Mrs. M thought we were doing when we came to Portugal, is buying a pile of rocks, a renovation out in central Portugal, growing our own food, growing our own kids, and living a somewhat more independent life than the one we've seemed to have settled into here. The lure of progress and civilization remains strong. But who knows? You know, we're seeing that sort of come apart a little bit. So all of these talks about alternative energy, about being a bit more independent, keeping an eye on geopolitical affairs, that's what we're about. So maybe I was just 5 years too early. Who knows? It's going to be an interesting 2026. And the next 5 years, I think, are going to be pivotal and will change the world, perhaps beyond recognition. Certainly, that you remember the old world of 2019 before the pandemic? We ain't going to be going back there, are we? Things are changing, and I think we need to be in the driving seat of that rather than the recipients or victims of what's planned on our behalf, perhaps. The more conspiratorial among you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Bon dia a todos e feliz carta from the coach. Mrs. T has already gone off to go swimming this morning. So on my own for a while. Pickleball was fun yesterday. So I understand why Colin enjoys it. Yes, Colin, he should get a knighthood from the powers that be around pickleball. The pickleball powers that be, I'm sure, will give Colin an award for his ambassadorial work for the sport. The holy balls of pickleball. They are literally holy, made of like a big practice golf ball. Morning to you, Sarah, and to you, Mel, and Peda. Bon dia todos from another wet and windy, waterlogged Pais de Galas. Wet and windy, and the weather's not too good either. There's definitely 1 millimeter of Chuvasex here as well. That was the weather forecast that flashed up in front of me. I think rain till Friday, then possibly. And we've definitely, who doesn't like more than 1 millimeter first thing in the morning? We've definitely had more than 1 millimeter overnight here. Wow. Alternate reality again, tuning into Cole saying 6767 shibboleths at this time in the morning. And Kate, yeah, someone needs to explain. You see, that's the thing. If you need it explaining to you, this is what we would. Me and the kids were winding Mrs. M up yesterday, talking about skibbity riz and all that 6-7 stuff. And the kids just about tolerate me doing it. And then when Mrs. M starts, I'm like, Mom, don't. It's one of those things. It is a shibboleth, is it not? If you need it explaining to you, you're probably not in that club. So just say it. Here's my advice to you, Kate. If I am able to give, I'm in no position to give anyone any advice, of course, but take this as well intended, Kate. Just say 6-7 like you know what you're talking about, because that's what all the kids are doing. All right, just say it like you always say it, and like you understand what it means, even if you don't. Just slip it into the conversation, see what happens, and then as someone looks at you and goes, "What did she just say? 6-7?" Say, "Yeah, I got Riz." Skibbity Riz, and then just change the subject and move on. It will be amazing. Your social standing, street cred will rocket through the roof and around the Tomar area. I think we need to do this before we get too excited talking to Duncan and to Gary Coulton this morning. Let's take a look at the Portuguese citizenship test question, number 6767. Oh, yes, I didn't do this on purpose. It is one of those amazing coincidences. We're at sixes and sevens, 6767, test question 67. Here it is on the screen for you now. Portuguese citizenship test question number 67. Which fruit is a key ingredient in the Algarve's fig and almond sweets? Is it A, fig? Well, if it's fig and almond sweets, you would think so. Is it B, orange, which I think is what I'm going to vote for this morning? Don't forget. Yes, I think, Kate, have you gone for the obvious answer there? And it may turn out to be a trick question. I'm surprised they haven't asked almond as well. Or is it C, lemon? I think it's orange, Algarve oranges in the Algarve sweets. The fig and almonds are ancillary to the main ingredient of orange. It's either obvious or a trick question. Yes, I'm going to give that a like. So often the way with these. Grok. It was Grok who set the questions. It's just us who are experiencing the early hallucinations of AI here. So what do you think? Citizenship test question 67. Which fruit? There's your clue. Which fruit is a key ingredient in the Algarve's fig and almond sweets? I suppose fig is a fruit, of course, as well, isn't it? Or is it a? Is it no? It's not a shriveled up old seed. Oh, it's an old. Well, a fig, strictly speaking, is a wasp tomb, isn't it? Does it count as a fruit if it's a wasp tomb? Essentially, is it A, a fig, B, an orange, or C, a lemon? Their question 67 6767. As we're at sixes and sevens here on the Good Morning Portugal show. And do you know what? I think it's time to bring Duncan onto the screen. Let's get rid of the quiz for now. Give him a nice big round of applause and bring him onto the screen from the Silver Coast of Central Portugal. How you doing, Duncan?
Good, thank you, Cal.
Did you like that build-up and a bit rapturous round of applause?
I did. I'm not sure whether it was warranted.
Let's find out. You very kindly sent a guide. Like it's it's an every man's guide, or every person's guide, I should say, to having a go at solar, getting off the grid, and also because did you get fed up of people knocking on your door asking you about your array?
Yeah, well, so I'm an enthusiast in the subject matter of energy, which is wider than solar. So of course I build these things out of my own interest and as a hobby.
Fantastic.
And so my house looks different to others as you're walking by, and there's panels everywhere. And so my neighbours have seen that as an advantage to ask questions about a subject matter that they've got less knowledge in, which I don't mind, but it's got to the point now where we are in Portugal here, that I'm starting to repeat myself on a regular basis. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to write it all down, and then I didn't know what to do with the document. So I've asked Carl if he would kindly distribute it in such a way that people who do have questions and perhaps don't have someone local to themselves have at least a starting point to work from.
You total legend. And what I'd love to do, I mean, I think this is the beginnings possibly of an off-grid alternative energy club for us, where it's a self-help group where, you know, leading lights like yourself make this sort of thing available. Then, you know, some of the rest of us try it. I mean, Solar Pete's here. He's got a massive array that NASA used to navigate around the globe. So there are people in various states of understanding, but I think the tide can rise for all of us. And this is a major contribution to that. And so can I have your permission to post it up at the Portugal Club where people can download it and discuss it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's exactly what it was designed for
Cool.
you know, people to read. It's not a definitive guide. It is, you have to understand, it is a starting point, and it is written from the perspective of someone who is not technical reading it. And so I've gathered information in such a way that if you are a bit intimidated by the subject and the technicality of the subject matter of solar and solar installations, hopefully this document will at least be a starting point for you to understand A, what you want to do with regards to your own energy, and B, if you are talking to a technical company or a person about the subject matter, maybe getting them to install things for you or buy things for you, you've at least got the basis of the knowledge that you can go into that conversation with some confidence.
Cool. And that is a problem, isn't it? I mean, people have, with the best of intentions, been offered or doorstepped by EDP saying,
Yeah.
do you know, appealing to people's good nature. Yes, I want to save the planet with a few solar panels. Oh, and I can save a bit of money as well. Yeah, job done. Let's go. Where do I sign? And there is a bit of buyer's remorse sometimes with some of these schemes, isn't there?
Yeah, correct. Because if you look at it from a business perspective, EDP, and let's not beat them up because there are others, other flavors of ice cream here, but you know, companies like that they have no motivation really to sell you a product which is eroding their revenue, which essentially is what a solar implementation does for them. In the manner that they sell it to you, it's a very specific version of solar. It's called grid tie, and so effectively a good grid tied system. What that will do is it will generate energy during the peak period of the day, so that the person at their home can use energy without having to buy it. And business-wise, that's actually a very terrible idea. So what EDP and others do is they sell you a product which they're obligated to sell you because there is regulation that makes them do it, that fits that regulation. And often it's smaller than what most people need, or it is overly expensive. They buy a lot of really cheap equipment and they sell it to you at a premium because they've branded it in such a way. And that's where I think unwitting buyers or buyers who don't know enough about the subject matter get caught out. You know, they've got a big company like EDP in this case knocking on their door saying this is a really good thing, and yes, unfortunately it's expensive, but we'll sell it to you on like HP or something like that. And so you feel, okay, well, they're telling me that this is a good thing, therefore I should spend the money. And often it
must be a salesman's dream. Can you imagine, you know, if you're in sales and you think, oh, gosh, I can really take advantage of people's good nature and eco awareness with this. It must be quite an easy sell if you're a good salesperson. And also a bit of a bombshell this morning, Duncan. Do you mean to say that the Chinese owners of EDP are not working in our best interests? I can't believe it. Right. Okay, maybe you don't have to answer that. You don't have to answer.
I think the politics of this is a much longer conversation, right?
Yes, it is. Isn't it? We haven't got time to go into that doom and gloom right now. But suffice to say, anyone would be wise to become a little bit more independent or savvy about this subject. And the other thing is, I want to. If people are knocking on your door because your house looks a bit Heath Robinson and a bit different, could you paint a pen portrait of what your house actually looks like as you walk past it in the street?
Yeah, sure. So, as is your classic square box, 2 up, 2 down type thing, with a pitched roof, and you'll see that we live in a development area, so all the houses are pretty much the same. And we don't have a huge amount of property where we have, a little bit of lawn and enough room for a pool, and we can park the car in the driveway.
Yep.
So I don't have enough land space to put my solar panels in what's called a ground mount situation or on a carport. So I've had to put my solar panels actually on the roof of the house. And to get enough solar panels to do what I want to do, that is the majority of the roof of the house is covered in solar panels. So it looks like a big shiny box as you walk past. It really does. Whereas everywhere else is the lovely Portuguese tiles going on. And so as a result, we stand out a bit.
They need to make a Portuguese one, don't they? That looks like an azulejo tile that goes on the roof.
Yeah, Tesla tried to do that, didn't they?
Did they? I don't know. What did they try and do?
Yeah, they make roofing tiles that are solar panels.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it does from an aesthetics point of view. But with a lot of these things, you need to have iterations of technology for them to be efficient. And the reality of a solar panel is that the traditional square blob that looks like a massive mirror is the most efficient thing at the moment, and aesthetically they just don't look that great, and so you have to be a bit aware of where you put them.
Yeah.
But people are doing interesting things with them, just on the shape and size of a solar panel. They are, as with a lot of these things, the cost of a solar panel today is vastly less than it was even 3 years ago, like when I brought mine. So,
yes.
An average solar panel now might cost you €100 or sometimes even less. But they are still
from a shop, an accessible shop. You don't have to go to a specialist. You go to Leroy Merlin, can't you, for something quite good?
Absolutely. Yeah. And you can order them online. They just turn up and like an Amazon delivery.
Yeah.
But they are still 2 meters tall and sometimes 500 millimeters wide, which is quite a lot of space. And if you think about a fence, for example, the filling the space between 2 posts has a cost. And people are doing some really interesting things with solar panels when they're using them as fencing panels. And while they're not as efficient in that orientation, if they are facing at least in a general direction of the sun, and you have tens of meters of the things and in a fence, you can run things like your pool pump. You can run, if you've got a well, you might run a well. You might run some outside lights just by having a fence.
Yeah, absolutely. These are some of the illustrations from the guide you've made.
Yeah.
I mean, so you could hang it from your balcony like that, couldn't you? I mean, the carport is the obvious thing, isn't it? And the supermarkets are doing this now. And of course, there's one for your garden and roofs. There are so many roofs that are as yet untouched by solar panels, which is the obvious place, rather than sticking them in the beautiful landscape near Fundal, blighting the countryside. You'd think maybe a few of these could go onto buildings. But can I ask you then, I mean, as well as giving us this fantastic guide, and I've put the link for that into the chat so people can start the conversation, and hopefully I'll send you an invitation to join our Portugal Club as well. I don't know, maybe you don't want to be inundated with questions, but if people can ask you from time to time, or if we can get you back from time to time, that would be awesome. What's the first step? This presumably is like a lot of how people learn new things. It's baby steps. What will be the first few baby steps in getting to
Yes,
grips?
the first few baby steps are understanding what your energy usage is and how to develop that matrix. Because there is no point in buying a system if you don't know what size of system you need, or in fact, what you're going to be using that system for. So an example of that would be your total usage just at your home might be 20,000 kilowatts a day. But if you only care about your internet being on and your fridge running and being able to boil a kettle to make a cup of tea if you're in a brownout for 4 hours, then you're probably not going to want to spend, upwards of 20,000 euros to put a massive off-grid system in place.
Hold on, what's a brownout? What's the difference between a brownout and a blackout?
So a brownout is where the power might be insufficient to run things. It's still sort of there, but it's actually not. So it's where the infrastructure is struggling, and you'll see this in areas where the area's grown too quickly, and the infrastructure on the street is starting to struggle with the number of people that are connected.
Okay, good.
So everybody puts their kettle on all at one time or something, and then
yes, in the tea break of the FA Cup final or something like
that's the one. And then all of a sudden, the box on the street goes, "Oh my God, I can't handle all these cups of tea."
Or at the Welsh bar, when we've been watching rugby at the Welsh bar, and everybody wants fish and chips at the same time we're watching the telly, and the chip fryer goes on and the thing goes off. There is a really good practical example. Yeah,
exactly. And the thing with a brownout is that it probably will affect you for hours. It might be a peak period of time where the power is not good enough for you to do anything at home. But when that load goes away, then the power comes back. Or if the energy company comes out and gives their box a kick or something, all of a sudden it comes back on and everybody's happy. Right. A blackout is where there's been an actual issue where the power is off for a while. A tree falls over on a line and it takes the power company, a few days or a week or something to come out and affect that repair.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Or in the worst case, the Ukraine-Russia war, where they are targeting each other's infrastructure and they're actually taking things offline. People in cities are offline for weeks and months at a time and have to deal with an actual blackout situation. And we had that recently here, I think, when, in France and Spain, which is a power infrastructure that we rely on here in Portugal, they had significant issues with their infrastructure that went offline for, a day or more. Well, they sorted that out. They are blackout situations.
Yeah, the apagão, which was again another message to everybody, wasn't it? To maybe have a little think about this, get yourself a little bit more independent.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so baby steps. Then we were looking at calculating your total requirement. It's supply and demand, I suppose, isn't it? So figure out what you want and what you need. Yeah.
Correct, and then with that, and that is one of the requirements that if you engage with a company, they're gonna want to ask you that question at least anyway.
Yeah.
And now you've got a gauge of, because they'll start talking to you about how much a solar panel can generate per hour or per day or whatever, or if you've got a battery, how long it will last, etc. And you can't determine whether or not those things will actually suit your needs if you haven't done that first step of understanding what your needs are in the first place.
Great, yeah.
And then the next thing from there is splitting those needs into what's called critical and non-critical loads. And in real terms, it is from an energy perspective what you really care about, what must stay on, and then what you don't necessarily need on, you can get by without it. And so a good example there would be the fridge and the internet. I would class as critical loads. You really want those going all the time. If you have a brownout or a blackout during the middle of the night, you don't want to wake up to find all of your ice cream melted on the floor at the freezer, or
half a cow you bought, has suddenly defrosted. That's right. Yeah.
You can't call mum on the internet, or watch sports or whatever. That would be a disaster.
Oh my God.
So they would be critical loads, and non-critical loads might be things like your AC, your pool pump, your oven. You might be able to get away with not having those things for a few hours or a day or two.
Cool.
And so once you've decided what your critical and non-critical loads are, you can start talking to your supplier about, can I have a system which just handles my critical loads, for example, in a brownout situation? And that might be a reasonably small scenario. You might, at that point, go out and again, there's many flavors of ice cream in this, but you might go out and get one of those Bluetti power banks, which is literally a suitcase-sized box that you store a whole lot of energy and you kick it under the bed for a while, and then in a brownout you pull it out, you plug your internet into that and your fridge into that, and you can boil your kettle, and it might only last a couple of hours.
And be a hero as you reach under the bed and your partner says, "What are you doing?" "I'm just whipping out my Blue Yeti, darling."
That's the one.
We can have tea now. You'll be a hero, wouldn't you? Saving the day.
Exactly. And then you've got the extra advantage of being able to make a cup of tea down the beach as well, because you throw it in the car.
Yes.
As I think you've done, haven't you, Carl? You took one of these things somewhere and you made toast tea
the
on
other Carl McAdam. He's been experimenting. He and definitely, there are a lot of threads and a lot of great people in this conversation that we can bring together. And look, Mike, thank you, Duncan, our first happy customer here. Just downloaded the solar guide, so I popped it up on the Portugal Club about 10 minutes ago. He's already downloaded it. He's thinking of going into this. Thank you for putting that together. So our first thanks to you there, Duncan. But Carl was noticing, I mean, when you and I had that brief conversation yesterday, he was noticing how the price of all these things is coming down. He bought an amazing battery. Batteries are like hard drives now, aren't they? They're sort of partitioned and they're intelligent and smart, and you can do incredible things with them. He bought an amazing rack mountable battery and an inverter. We took this down to the quay at San Martino de Porto, and to prove this is people do have a concern, of course, don't they? It's like, especially in Portugal, can I put on a hairdryer, a kettle, and a toaster at the same time? Even on the grid, a lot of people can't do that. We did it with his off-grid system. We wheeled it down there and we made tea and toast. And then whilst we were eating tea and toast, none of us have got any hair, but we still sparked up the hairdryer to show that it was possible if somebody
exactly. And in its smallest form, something like a Bluetti power bank is all of those things. It's the battery and the inverter and the charge control all in this one box. So you don't have to have these different components. You can still have solar panels. You whip them out, and they normally fold up, like you've got like your beach tent going on. You just flop these things out over your car on the ground or whatever, and you can charge your thing up.
Wonderful.
And so that and if you're just wanting to dip your toe in the water with the subject matter, something like that actually is a low risk option where you can experience the power of generating your own energy and storing your own energy, because this is really what it's all about. It's no different to having a vegetable garden and storing vegetables, or mum making pickles and sticking them in the cupboard, right? You're doing it with electricity.
Yes. Very good. So these are the first steps, and a quick win, low hanging fruit. Get to grips with it. Get to know your needs.
Correct.
Get to know the critical times. Experiment maybe with a little rig and have. I mean, I bought this thing a long time ago. I can't remember the name of it. BioLite, really great American company called BioLite. They make little stoves, and they made a panel the size smaller than a laptop screen. And it was a mini solar panel you could hang on your backpack, and it would charge your phone up. And just doing that with kids, or even as a grown-up, you think, wow, this is what's possible, isn't it? So you're learning a little bit about it, getting a hands-on experience.
Even the small block things that you used to throw in your bag when you were traveling on the plane, and which they won't let you have now. But you can charge your phone in an airport because you've got your charging plug. You just plugged it into this power bank thing, right?
Very good.
That is in the smallest form exactly the same thing that we're talking about.
Brilliant. Can we have a final tip from you, Duncan? And will you
Yeah,
please
so
come back?
the,
Can we have
the,
you
the,
as a resident expert in our community? Will you put yourself forward
the
for that?
next key thing about really what the document talks about is normalizing the conversation with an expert. So comparing apples to apples, this is one of the real challenges with quotations, seeking quotations from experts, is that often
Yes.
you'll get back different answers and different values, and it's really difficult for you to then make a financial decision. So the way that you at least soften that is by asking the same question of all of them and expecting them to return the answer to you in the same way, even if they're not supplying all of the same parts.
Yes.
And that at least then, when you've got these series of financial quotes coming back, you can compare evenly and fairly, and you can make a real and accurate financial decision, which ultimately is where the real savings come in a situation like this. Because if you are investing in your home energy production, there is some real money involved, and even at the low end, if you buy one of these grid tie things from like EDP, you could be looking at 5,000 or 6,000 euros.
Yeah.
And if you took that same 5,000 or 6,000 euros and asked the right questions of solar companies in the right way, you could invest that same 5,000 or 6,000 euros in a better way, in my view.
Okay.
And that I think is the key with the subject matter, is asking a technical question in the right way and getting the same answers back. And that empowers you to do two things: to spend your money in the right way, and the last thing would be to build this thing in a modular way, because this is the other thing that people don't understand. You don't have to buy these things all at one time and throw a huge amount of money all up front. You can actually buy them in phases over a period of time, and walk yourself into a much larger system over a period of time, and you can do that safely and fiscally in the right way.
Very, very good. Okay, well, thanks so much again for this. This is such a wonderful contribution.
Well,
Apparently, cheap Bluettis are everywhere. Nearly everyone we know has been given them for their YouTube channels. Where were we when they were given out, Duncan? We didn't get them, did we, for our channels? So they're all going cheap. Well, we'd be happy to give one of those a home, and to have further discussions. So that's definitely up in the Portugal Club. We've also we have your kind of final point here, your conclusion. It's not a spoiler, really. It's just really great advice, isn't it? The key is planning, not guessing with this.
yeah.
Because
I'm not an expert. I'm just an enthusiast, and I found that people were asking me for some knowledge. I just wanted to write it down in a way that I think people can disseminate it in a non-technical way. Hopefully, the guide is helpful.
it already is. It already is. It's working its magic, and it's beautifully presented and laid out. If only we could have more guides like this on the various aspects of life in Portugal. You've set the bar high there, and given us an incredible gift and contribution to this community. So really grateful to you for that, and hope to chat to you again and bump into you again. It's amazing what happens when you know Colin Ross Jones, isn't it?
Exactly.
Okay, well, have a great day and thank you. And see you over at the club and see you back on the screen here. Cheers, Duncan. All the best to you. Have a great day. Ciao, ciao. There goes, Duncan. That's fantastic. Now, let me put that link up again so you know where to download that. I mean, it's the first post you'll come to now if you go to the portugalclub.com. And there are so many comments about this in the chat. Of course, people with their own levels of experience about this. I can't find my link to it, but go over to GMP VIP for short, or the portugalclub.com, and it's the first link there. Mike's already downloaded it, which is fantastic. We'll keep that applause going, because after today's show, we are talking to Gary Coulton, Normally it's 6 o'clock on a Wednesday, every other Wednesday. We've moved things around for various reasons, but we've got there. We are doing a Positive Echo show today, and it'll be straight after this show. If you want to, if you'd like our company for another hour at around 9:05, you'll have to change the link. We're jumping across to the Positive Echo studio, but by way of a little foreplay with Gary here before the big event, I don't know if he might just suddenly leave having been described like that. Let's see if he's still here after that introduction. Here he is. Hola, bon dia, Gary. Are you happy with that?
Hello. I'm nicely warmed up now. Thank you.
A sudden hot flush there.
Good. I do have a complaint though.
Oh dear, go on.
I don't know Colin Ross Jones. It sounds like I should do.
You know what? Not many people can actually say that. You probably have met him in a service station, an airport. I think it's like 6 degrees. Is that the Kevin Bacon thing? 6 degrees. Yeah. With Colin, it's like 3 degrees. Quite frankly, everybody knows Colin, and even if they don't, they actually do by some circuitous route. But we can fix that. And definitely next time you're over in Portugal, which is of course where you and I met, and which then led to us doing a fortnightly podcast together of the Positive Echo show, which we'll be doing at 9:05 this morning. Yes, and we've moved things around so that we can talk to Joe Santos this morning. But I wanted to honour you this morning, as well as talking about that and suggesting to people why they might want to join us in the next hour. You've been the recipient of an award, which I rather sort of unceremoniously referred to as "You Can Still Be Useful When You're Old" award. That's not what they called it, is it? It's the advantage of age that we're talking about, isn't it? And you received this just recently.
I'll just flash you can't really see it. I got this
cool
really nice award.
Look at that. See through.
Advantages of age. So we have limited time, so I'll keep it short. I got an email about a month ago. One of those emails that says you are a finalist in the Advantages of Age Awards 2025. And I was thinking, scam, when's the hit? When does the shoe drop?
Yes.
Long story short, absolutely legitimate, fabulous organization for anyone, anywhere over 50, roughly speaking.
Yeah. And
it's not about care and pensions, although they do deal with some of that. Thank you. They're outlandish, fabulous, positive people who get stuff done. They live their life with no excuses and they don't ask for permission. And I thought, I want some of that. So I turned up for the awards in this category, inspirational personal story. And the buggers picked me.
That's fantastic, isn't it?
Luckily, you know me, I'm always prepared. So I did have a short thank you, which went down very well. So
there you are on the stage. Where did they do this then? Where did everything take place?
This is an amazing 1880s Victorian music hall theatre.
Cool.
Almost unchanged. It's as if the performers of the time. It's called the Hoxton Hall.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
And it's as if they've closed their doors one day and opened them again the next day. And some quite big bands play there, for example. And there's poets, there's also theatre, there's all sorts of things that go on. But the Advantages of Age have this award ceremony. It's the second time they've done it. It's every other year. And it's just the most joyful, joyous thing I've ever been associated with, certainly in the last decade. And it refueled me.
That's lovely to hear.
And quite apart from the award thing, which is lovely, but I still don't quite know what to do when you get an award for your entire life. It's not like winning a football match or something. It's a very strange feeling.
Yeah, well, congratulations on that. Parabéns from Portugal. Looks like a great evening was had by all. And the point they're making then, I suppose, is to raise the currency of oldies, because it's an interesting time, isn't it? For young and old alike. And is this to give a bit more self-esteem to the elders, perhaps?
It's very, very practical. So, for example, one of the organisers, Suzanne Noble, excuse me, she and another organiser of the Advantages of Age, part of their work is to help people over the age of 50 start small businesses.
Cool. Yeah.
And they've helped 700 small businesses, and it's 100 every year. So this is about living your best life within what you can do, because you might be disabled, you might not be disabled, but not to ask permission for living your own life.
Isn't that great?
And and the network is helping each other. You don't have to rely on the government.
Yeah.
To get things you need. Other people are there to help you with your dream. Wonderful people, amazing. So
yes,
it's based in Britain, but anyone in the world can join.
Very good. And you, when you see other people doing it, I mean, this idea of it connects with our last conversation, isn't it? If we wait for the government to enable, that's becoming more and more difficult. I think the government will have to focus their scant resources on the most urgent and pressing issues of society, and it may be that we have to take a more crowd-funded, crowd-inspired route like this, where we're encouraging each other.
It's a bit, excuse me, a bit chesty this morning.
Yeah, well, sounds like you got Portuguese weather there in the UK this morning.
Oh God, it's so changeable. I was thinking about this, Cole. Two geezers talking about British geezers talking about weather, but it's absolutely stunningly beautiful out there this morning.
It's definitely Portuguese. Then you're actually warmer outside than you are inside. Welcome to our world, Gary.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on this.
Thank
this
you.
kind of segues very nicely into what we're trying to do with the positive echo as well. They've acknowledged the positive echo idea, which for anyone who hasn't experienced that here, could you give us a brief introduction to that, which presumably was part of your acceptance speech as well, perhaps?
It was very much. And also, not just thank you for the award, but I made sure that they knew that everyone in the room was already leaving a positive echo wherever they went. Yeah. So that's a bit distracting.
Is that true? Has anyone else ever said that to you?
No, Jeremy Irons is somebody that I'm told.
Not just once. Yes, our very disinhibited audience will be saying things like this. They speak their mind. They say what's there. I love
it. I absolutely love it. It was the dog that distracted me. So there are two things. One is, aren't we all absolutely pig sick of the chaos and the toxicity in life at the moment?
Yes.
And
yes.
one of the things that we can do is let it take us over. It's very hard not to be taken over. So the positive echo is our antidote. It's not to be nice all the time, and it's not to ignore the bad things. But if you don't have something on the positive side of the bank balance, you're going to go under.
Yeah.
So the positive echo is very practical. There's a deep concept, which I'll share in a second, but it's very, very practical. We help people see things they can adopt in their lives as an antidote to the chaos that they're battered with. So that's one thing. But as you know, Cole, it stems from a question my late father asked me 25 years ago. And he asked me shortly before he died, Gary, who do you want to come to your funeral? And what was it you did for them that would make them want to come?
Yeah.
So it's about not just waiting till you're dead because it's too late to do anything then. It's at the end of every podcast, the end of every conversation, the little buying a coffee for the person in front of you who's clearly struggling for money. It can be starting some huge geopolitical movement to improve things. But it's not about money, and it's not about being nice. It's what I call being militantly generous.
Militant generosity. Yes, indeed.
So that's the positive echo. And it's not as if we're trying to protect a defined thing that is the Positive Echo, we're a kind of catalyst.
Yeah.
So that people can go, oh, that's my version. And we go, fine, run with it. We don't want any of it. We're just starting the chain reaction.
And we've spoken to some amazing people. We've recorded 20 podcasts now, or this will be our 19th, I think. 19th, 20th.
19th or 20th,
Yeah, and this morning talking to Joe Santosh is a great example of somebody who's doing an amazing thing, just changed from being a business guy into helping people, families with somebody with autism in their family, and we'll talk to him about how he did that and why he did that. You know, this is the inspirational part of it, isn't it? So we've got those interviews, and we've spoken to some amazing people who you've found, because you've started us. Actually, the interesting thing about you with this is that there's the Positive Echo idea that you've just outlined and discussed, but so you've taken on and experienced so many other things as a result. I think it's fair to say the Advantages of Age Award came up because of this.
Yeah.
You started and got into Substack because of this. You're a podcaster now because of this. There are lots of ancillary benefits, aren't there?
Yeah, I mean, I retired officially 3 or 4 years ago. After a career in universities, then I ran a small business. And I wondered what I was going to do with my life. So I decided I'd throw my hat in the ring for writing. So, as you know, I wrote and published a memoir. There are other books in the pipeline. But then you think, how do I tell people about them? You know, it's not like if they build it, they will. If you build it, they will come. No, the bloody won't.
Doesn't always work out, does it?
Yeah, you've always got. I came across Substack, so I have had a Substack now for 18 months. It's growing organically. I'm not interested in these huge boom and busts, you know, lots of subscriptions, and because it disappears just as quickly.
Yes, well said.
So I'm in the long game, building relationships with the people who like what I write about Positive Echo.
Yeah.
And out of the memoir, our friend Marco, is a hotelier where you live. He gave me the chance of a physical book launch in Portugal. Fantastic. That's where we met.
Yeah.
And the rest is history. And I'm just going wherever life takes me. And
Isn't that lovely?
Then chewing the heck out of the opportunity.
And you couldn't have had a book launch in a town in Portugal that you'd never heard of, and had an amazing time hanging out with other people who came to the book launch and that lovely evening we had there. If you hadn't written the book, right, something needed to begin that whole process, and it's really snowballing, isn't it, into quite an incredible so-called retirement, it would appear.
Yeah, I mean, I've just done a thing called, if you're a self-publisher like I am, marketing's a challenge. So you have to think outside the box, so to speak. So I thought, I'm going to try a message in a bottle. So I've left 2 hard copy books with instructions in the inside. I left one with a friend, one in my favorite coffee shop where I'm going to go after our second podcast, with an invitation to read, take a selfie, send me the selfie on an email.
Cool.
So I can see where this book journeys.
It's like geocaching with books then, isn't it?
Yeah. So I know one book has gone about 3 or 4 miles away. It then has been read in Fortnum and Mason's in London. Who knows where it goes next?
So somebody sent you the selfie of them drinking a cup of tea, British tea, maybe having
Holding
a cucumber sandwich at Fortnum's, holding the book. How lovely. How fantastic. Okay, maybe Capricorn would be good to take it onto London Transport for you. Sting, why would Sting be proud? What's the connection there, I wonder? Okay.
I look like a blue turtle.
Yeah, or it's a sort of tantric sex reference, possibly. I don't know. I mean, Sting is famous for a number of things. And just finally, then, because we do have to hop across to the Positive Echo studio, you and me, Gary.
Yeah.
Not Dennis Law. That's not. Although maybe Dennis Lawson. Let's have a look. Yes, I think so. But very, very, 2 handsome fellas on the screen there. The one in the middle and the one on the right. Fantastic. You're quite right. I think that was OLP, wasn't it? And thanks to, by the way, to Joao F. And Antonio F., the Ferreiras were with us this morning. We felt that presence. We felt a disturbance in the force as the João Ferreira and Antonio Ferreira were with us this morning, our great Portuguese friends. Message in a bottle, nothing to do with tantric sex.
Oh, God, yes, of course.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Duncan, great job. We have that fantastic community guide for creating your first solar system. Thanks so much, Duncan. Cheers, mate. See you in the back there. Thank you for staying as well. And thanks to everybody for the fabulous conversation. Much of it I couldn't share on the screen. Very busy morning this morning on the Good Morning Portugal show, and we'll do it again tomorrow. But we are hot-footing it over to the Positive Echo studio now, where we will meet with Joe Santos, and we'll be talking about Vencer Autismo. So maybe see you over there if you like a bit more company this morning. Gary, see you over there, mate. Thanks for being with us.
Bye.
Good job.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to